Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. Armineh Keshishian wants you to share her secrets for wealth and success. Armineh, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Bill. Thank you for the invitation.
Now, Armineh, you've written a unique book, Joyous Wealth. And when I first picked it up, I expected to see all financial figures and numbers throughout the book, but it's different. Tell our audience why it's so different.
It is different because for the longest time, I was in financial planning, consulting, and wealth management. And once the money is taken care of, people focus on the rest of their lives, which is not money related. It's emotional well-being and physical well-being. And so I thought I can put all the material together, including wealth, to have a more fulfilled life. And that is what actually is getting attention. And it's based on all the information I have gathered during my over 25 years of wealth management with clients that they have shared with me what their concerns are.
And I think that's the big thing, people's concerns, what they've shared with you and what you share with us in the book. So it's totally different than what I expected. When I first started reading, I thought, this is great. This is so different and a whole different approach. Now, you begin by mentioning something about the 3 Ds. What are the 3 Ds in your book?
Yes. The 3 Ds are, number 1, desire, determination, and dedication. In order for us to do anything to be successful, whether to make $1 million a year or to have a healthy life or a beautiful home on the lake or the ocean, is to desire it. Your desire level has to be 100%. Otherwise, you wouldn't be too interested. Number 2 is determination. Not one day, someday. You have to decide that you're going to do it. And number 3 is dedication, which is your commitment. Whatever that we do in life, which is worthwhile, there are lots of challenges. When challenges come up, if you're focused on the outcome, you go through all the obstacles and you make it happen. That's why I think if you stick to the 3D concept, you will achieve anything that you like.
So to repeat for our audience, the 3 Ds are desire, determination, dedication.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, you work with a lot of people, and I could see from the tone of your book, you've come across a lot of different situations. Do most people set goals? Do they know really what they want in life?
Well, when it came to even financial consulting, I asked, what are your goals? A lot of people weren't sure. They had to think about it. And I have a way of getting people to open up. So they would open up about their finances and they would mix the budget with the expenses, with the income, and it would be all over the place. But once finances were decided, then it's a matter of thinking whether you can go through it. A lot of times we are conditioned to follow the path of our parents or the norm or the societal norm and the cultures. And we don't really take time to reflect on exactly what we want out of life. It's more of a routine. You go to school, you get married, you have children, you have a good job, and that's about it. But now I think recently things are changing. It's I like to call it to have self-mastery, which is you think about your emotional well-being, financial, physical, spiritual, and intellectual. And once you are true to yourself, you're happier and everybody around you would be happier as well.
That's what I like so much about your book, because rather than just talk about numbers, I guess the first thing we would all say, oh, I want to hit the jackpot or the lotto or the winning ticket, whatever that might be. But in reality, our day-to-day life, we might be very, very happy working with animals, teaching little children, working in a hospital and helping people, being a caregiver, etc. And I think we skip over that and maybe don't appreciate it until there's an emergency like what we went through the last year. And for some of us, we couldn't go to work. We couldn't do our normal job in the normal way, whatever that might be. And now that we're experiencing some changes, we might like them and maybe we don't. You mentioned that you have to, meaning your clients, have to decide if they're going to do whatever it takes to achieve this version of success. Is that the big hurdle? Like, we all want $1 million, $2 million, $1 billion, but are we going to go and get our degree? Are we going to go to medical school or get our master's? Is that where the problem comes in?
Yes. I think that if we really self-reflect and go through the number one, which is desire, to know that really, truly we want it. Number two would become a little bit easier because money is a language. It's a universal language, right? Everywhere, everybody wants a lot of money, especially in North America. We are so gung-ho in making millions and millions. But the question is why you want to make those millions. Are you okay with a house that is maybe, say, $700,000 instead of $7 million? And what does it give you? Does it give you a sense of serenity, a sense of peace? You have to decide what is it that it gives you. If you want to just do it because you want to do it, because everybody else is going to do it, that is not really your true desire. So once your desire level is set, then you say, okay, for example, you want $1 million house. You really want it. You have 3 kids, 4 kids. Everybody's going to be comfortable. It's on a location that you really, really like. And you're going to be happy, comfortable. You say, yes, that's a true goal for me, and I'm going to do it. Then you have a plan, you have a strategy. And if you don't do it, let's say in the time period that you set your mind to, it's okay if it's a year later, 2 years later, because we would still feel the same feelings. When you accomplish something, the accomplishment, that excitement that gives you, the excitement of accomplishment, even if you felt it a year later, it would still have the same effect. I think we're so gung-ho sometimes on time, but if you let time work with you, you will achieve your goals, and then you go through them. Yeah, so if you want $1 million house, you got to work for it. There's no two ways about it. You can't just sit and say, oh, I hope I win the lottery. I hope somebody comes and gives me the money. It's not going to work that way.
Now, Armineh, I know in your book you actually asked the people in there in the story you presented to us what they wanted and what was truly important to them in life. What are some of the things that came up? Because, again, I think the first thing most of us would say, oh, I want to win the lotto, or I want that big house or a boat or something material. But you got different answers. What usually comes up?
Well, normally I go with my 4 cornerstone philosophy, which is based on physical, emotional, spiritual, and intellectual/mental. So physical, it's anything to do with our bodies, with food, shelter, our cars, our money, intimacy. This is all physical. And in North America, we actually emphasize that particular cornerstone. But there is the emotional. Like if we're constantly struggling towards something, or we have held up anger or resentment or grief, we cannot fully be engaged in the other cornerstone. And the mental capacities, for example, reading a beautiful book could be very mentally stimulating. Or your mindset. Do you have a growth mindset or do you have a fixed mindset? And the spiritual aspects, which is some people totally believe in religion and God, and some people believe in the spirituality and the universe. And so if we take time to kind of focus on every single cornerstone, life would become much more exciting, much more fulfilling, and we feel that we contribute, we feel that we have an impact. Otherwise, just constantly thinking about money, it becomes very shallow.
Now, you also bring out the difference between 2 words we hear a lot, a visionary and a dreamer. What's the difference between those two?
Visionary is someone who has a vision and is working towards that. A dreamer is a person who also sees the dream, but it's not taking action towards accomplishing that dream. So if you're a dreamer without an action plan, you're not a visionary. You're just a dreamer. Everybody dreams. Everybody has high hopes. But the key is to take action. If you're at point A and you want to be in point B, you have to travel it. You can walk it, you can take the bus, you can take the horse, or you can run, but you have to travel it.
And we always say that on The Secrets of Success to our audience. If you want to improve, you have to take some action. It's great just to listen to our guests, but go out and get the book. Try some of the programs in the book, some of the ideas, some of the theories. See if that works for you or just enlightens you or kind of helps you on the road to success. At this point in the show, we want to remind our audience also that you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Our guest today is Armineh Keshishian. She's the author of Joyous Wealth. Armineh, tell us where we can get the book and if there's a website where we can learn more.
Sure. The book is available on our website, wealthandwellnessglobal.com, wealthandwellnessglobal.com. It is also available on Amazon. It does come with a workbook, so you can journal your thoughts and your progresses. And if you want a signed copy, you can go to our website, wealthandwellnessglobal.com. Or if you want a quick one, you can have it from Amazon, which is either in digital or paper copy.
And I found, at least when I was reading it, that sometimes we think we're on the right road, we just have to run faster, and we're actually on the wrong road. And maybe there's something else we really want in life, and that's why you bring out those questions so well, and why some of the questions that I'm going to be asking you is about the answers you get back from people. Because, of course, being on the wrong road, if we're trying to get to Florida and we're going north, we're not going to get there. We're going to wind up in Canada someplace. So we want to be going in the right direction. You mentioned that to reach our unlimited potential, we must know thyself. When you're talking to people, do you find that all of a sudden they're like blossoming because you're bringing out something in them? Maybe they've always wanted to be a teacher or an accountant, or maybe they wanted to go back and study nursing?
Yes. During the times when I did financial consulting, because the relationship was just about money, but very quickly it became much more than that. And so people would open up to me. And sometimes, for example, I remember this particular woman who was married to a man. She married him at later ages, and she didn't have any children. They didn't have any children. And her beneficiary was her husband. But what she really, really wanted was to have her nieces and nephews to be the beneficiaries. And she said, I can't. Like, I asked her if she could have a conversation with her husband to to change the contract, to make a contract or to make the beneficiaries, and it worked out. So that was a true desire for her. Other times, when they start talking about their lives, we discover that they have some emotional upheavals or they have some mental blocks. And it takes time. You cannot just unblock what is bothering you. You cannot just feel excellent when you have been holding grief or resentment for 50 years or 20 years or even a month, let's say, from your boss or your siblings or your spouse. And so the idea is to uncover slowly. It's like peeling the onion. It's slowly you uncover your true desires, you uncover your true feelings and your authentic self. And that's what I believe in. Money is just one part of our lives. It's not the whole life. And unfortunately, we think if we have all the money in the world, that's the solution.
You know, it's sad until something negative happens, and it's usually when someone passes away or they get sick, we don't realize how good that friendship was. Or if a business closes, we say, gee, it was great working there 20 years ago. But unfortunately, while we're working there, I don't think, appreciate it day by day. But if it closes or moves or goes to another state, then, of course, we miss it. I copied a line down from your book. You say, the community you choose to participate in defines what you do and what you can do. Can you explain that to us?
Sure. We need to have a sense of belonging. We are, as human beings, we're social creatures, and we gravitate towards things that excite us, or sometimes we are just in it because our family is in that community. So to choose your community carefully is very important, because you tend to adapt their mentality to your way of thinking and to your way of lifestyle. For example, if you're constantly with a group who is in business, then you tend to become more business oriented. If you're in a group, which is, say, a church group or a religious group, what happens there is all your ideas become more religion focused. And sometimes we are in groups that we don't really care about. I always say you have to be somewhere where you're appreciated and celebrated, not tolerated. So the group makes an impact on us just because we are social creatures. There is no two ways about it. For example, if someone is in a gang for long enough, they adapt the idea of the gangs. And it has proven that sometimes people who are in gangs is because they have a sense of belonging. They kill for each other. They are tight. And so it's the sense of belonging that you choose that community. And that community will have an impact and an effect on you. And that's why I'm saying you have to be very careful who you choose to associate with.
Now, there was an expression in your book, and I love new terms and expressions. You mentioned that we have to engage in cognitive reframing. What does that mean? It makes a lot of sense when I start thinking into it, but can you explain it for our audience who are hearing it for the first time?
Sure. Cognitive reframing. So let's go, I call it the ABC. A is the activating event. B is your belief system. And C is the consequence. So, for example, let's say that the activating event was that you did not get that promotion at work. B, because you have a belief system that maybe you're not good enough. So B, you're not good enough. The C is that you are very upset and resentful. So that's the consequence. If we were to change the belief system, everything will change. The activating event you cannot change. So you did not get the promotion. B, if you think, I'm sorry, today.
That's okay. We all get the frog in our throat. It has to come sometime, right?
Yes. And B, if you say, okay, maybe I wasn't enough. I'm sorry. Yeah, B, instead of saying I'm not enough, you say, maybe I wasn't ready. Maybe I need to have some I need to take extra courses, be more capable of running the department. As a result, C which is the consequence, instead of being angry and resentful, you start taking new courses. You start learning more about how to, say, manage the department or get the promotion that you want. So by changing your belief system, the consequence will change. And that is a growth mindset. Instead of saying, oh, I didn't get the job that I wanted. I worked so hard. Somebody else came in 2 years. They got promoted and it was that kind of thinking, it's not doing anybody any favors. By changing your belief system and your mindset, you can progress much, much faster.
And in effect, we're taking control of the situation by doing this cognitive reframing.
Exactly. It's easier to remember ABC. So activating event, your belief system, and C, your consequence.
We got to remember our ABCs. Another question you asked some of the people in your book, if you had all the wealth in the world, what kind of work would you do? Did you find that most of them changed what they were doing? Whether, if they were in nursing, did they want to go to accounting or vice versa?
Sometimes, yes. A lot of people, I would say most people work for money. If we were to love what we're doing, we will make money. So there's two things. One, we need to decide what is it that we love to do. And number two, how much money we want, how much assets we want, what income level do we want to have every year. A nurse, for example, may be making $60,000, $70,000 a year or $100,000 a year, depending on where they work. If that's what they really love to do, but they want to make $2 million a year, there is a discrepancy there. But most people, especially in certain work areas, they want to work just to make money. And my suggestion is find out what your desire is, find out what the obstacles are, and find out what you're willing to take on and what you're willing to do. And based on that, make new decisions.
Armineh, once again, I'd like our audience to know that you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan. Our guest today is Armineh Keshishian. She is the author of Joyous Wealth. And I'd ask you again to tell us where we can get the book and a website where we can learn more information about it.
Sure. The book Joyous Wealth is available on Amazon, both in digital copy and paper copy. You can also go through our website, wealthandwellnessglobal.com. That is wealthandwellnessglobal.com. If you like to have a signed copy, you can do it through our website, or you can order it through Amazon.
And I will tell our audience, it's not just a financial book, although you get to that later on in the book. It gets you thinking about what direction you're going. And is this where you want to go for the next 20, 30, 40 years, or maybe next 8 years or 3 years in your life, doing the same thing, doing it the way you're doing it? Or maybe is it time to jump onto a different track or a different direction and do something that you would enjoy more on a day-to-day basis? Armineh, you talk about a term in your book, emotional profit. And again, I like that term. What is that?
Most of the times we are conditioned to think about financial profit. I make an investment for this amount, and the result is this amount. The difference is my profit. Or I work and I make an income, that's my profit. Emotional profit is when emotionally you're fulfilled. For example, the best example I can give right now is, let's say that you have budgeted $5,000 for a trip, and an opportunity comes up where there's a family reunion. You would get to see all your siblings, your cousins, your parents, grandparents. Everybody will be in the same place at the same time. But this trip will cost you $8,000 for the year. So it's $3,000 more than your budgeted amount. I call that $3,000 emotional profit if you really, really want to go and see all the family, because you never know when the family will get together again. So that is a financial decision and an emotional decision. So if you say $3,000 is your emotional profit, then you won't think so bad that, oh my goodness, I'm way over my budget, because you can actually not go to a trip next year, or just cut it from your other expenses and make it a possibility. It's important because, the last thing that we want on our deathbed is that we have regrets. That's the worst thing. So you have $2 million, 10, 50 million, but you regret, that's the worst scenario.
And I think that is another great point that you brought out, because I know personally with me, I would think, oh, the expense of this or the expense of that. And yet when I've taken a trip or done something for the experience of it, something out of my comfort zone or something different, I've really enjoyed it. And I was just telling someone about something I did 20 years ago, and they said, oh, that was expensive at that time. I said, you know what? It was worth twice what I paid for it, because I've been able to discuss it with people over the years, talk to them. It's giving us a bonding. It's talking about something that few people have had that experience in life. And it opened up new visions for me, new opportunities. And normally I wouldn't have done it, but a friend pushed me a little bit, so it was good he pushed me over the ledge to take that step. Now,
yes, absolutely. Yes. So the emotional profit is also the experiences that you would love to have. Yes.
You mentioned that a lot of people don't follow their visions of happiness and success because of fear. What is it that we're fearing if we take that next step or do something that we think we would like?
Fear is a funny concept. There is physical fear and emotional fear. We get confused with physical fear, but an emotional fear is, what if I do this and I fail? What if I do this and I'm ridiculed? Fear of being ridiculed, fear of being not accepted, fear of being judged. All of these fears come in. But really, as human beings, we're conditioned for fear for survival. The survival is we're not going to be eaten by the lion, let's say. So it's a physical fear. We have to protect ourselves, but we confuse the emotional and the physical. And to say, when we are in fear, we're actually in the future. We're not in the present. So if I say, I'm going to make, let's say, $1 million, it would take me so much time, and I need to take these steps. Along the way, I start really getting fearful. But what is that fear? Because I'm going to the future. I'm thinking I'm not going to succeed. What if people don't like what I have to offer? What if this? What if that? But you know what? If your desire level was 100% and you decided to do it, who cares what people think? You just go ahead and enjoy your life because it's your life. We are given one life. Let's make the most of it.
A great point and great making us kind of think. You just took away all our excuses for not taking that next step, whether it's going back to school or going for the new job or just taking a different path in life. Now, Armineh, I know you talk about the actual money parts of Joyous Wealth, and you get into that in a little bit primarily at the end of the book. But what are some of the biggest mistakes people make with their finances?
So let me expand on this a little bit, Bill. A financial plan has 6 elements. Number 1 is cash flow and budget. Number 2 is your net worth statement. What is your assets? What are your assets minus liabilities? That's your net worth. Number 3 is risk management, which is all the insurances. Number 4 is tax and investment planning. Number 5 is retirement planning. And number 6 is wills and estate and your legacy. Most people make wrong decisions on investments because they don't have their risk profile calculated or done. Number 1 is you have to do a budget regardless. If you're on a fixed salary and you're spending like a billionaire, you're going to be in debt. And if you're paying interest on your debt, a high interest, it would be very difficult to get out of debt. So you do a budget, which is your expenses and your income minus all the deductions, taxes and all that. And then your net worth, you start with your net worth. If you're okay with those things, then when it comes to investing, you have to know your risk profile. Everybody is saying triple your money in a day. Go to digital currency, Forex, I don't know, like stocks, real estate. If you don't have the capacity to take extra risk, don't take it. Find out if you're a conservative investor, moderate conservative, moderate aggressive, or aggressive investor. Once you know your risk profile and you have your budget and you have your net worth, then it would be easier.
Armineh, thank you so much. I'm sorry that our time is running out, but you made a great point there. Everybody says do something, but if it doesn't match your risk profile, it's not going to work for us, and it might be too risky or too calm for us. Maybe we want to do something more exciting. Before we wrap up, once again, tell us where we can get Joyous Wealth and the website.
Okay, my website is wealthandwellnessglobal.com, wealth and wellnessglobal.com. You can get the book from there. Comes with a workbook as well, or you can go to amazon.com and you can take it there, which comes in digital or paper form.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us. Again, the book is Joyous Wealth by our guest, Armineh Keshishian. Armineh, I'd like our audience to know that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm your host, Bill Horan, asking you to please join us again next week at the same time when we'll continue our journey to success.